Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of SuperFantaFi. This being a show where we talk about TV shows of the supernatural, fantasy, and or science fictional genre. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about Ishura Season 1, Episode 8. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode, so let's break it down. So first and foremost, we have that conversation between Dakai and Yuno, because it's interesting. Well, Yuno finds out that Dakai's the one. It's like, wait, well, she already knew Dakai's name, but she recognizes the blade. Like, you're Dakai. You're the one that solved the labyrinth in Nagin, and that led to the whole labyrinth coming alive and the golem killing everyone, my friends and family. And it's like, it's all your fault. But Takai's like, yeah, but the fact is that entire city was full of scholars and explorers that they wanted to be the first ones to solve that labyrinth. So yeah, I solved it first, but what happened would have eventually happened either. It's easy to blame me, but would you have blamed the other person who eventually did it? They were from your city. You know, it's a little bit of a difference. It's like, you know, it's just she needs someone to blame for it. Because even Dakai's making this point that, did anyone predict that that was going to happen? Like, even all the scholars and explorers had no idea that was happening, because that's why they kept doing it, because none of them figured that was going to happen. No one knew. It's just, it is what it is. It sucks, but it was going to happen eventually, which is Dakai, like, not taking any responsibility of, like, regardless of it would have happened eventually, which is true. You are still the one that set those events in motion, but also plays into the bandit that he is, where it's like, I don't really care. You know, I did what I did. And because for her, it's like, not only do you be responsible for all of that, you're here wanting a war, which is like, I don't actually want a war. He's like, I'm indifferent, but I'm here doing. We have no idea why he's working along with Terran, what he's getting out of it, but I guess he finds this interesting, so he doesn't want a war. But yeah, I'm here. I'm going to participate in it because I chose Terran's side for whatever reason. We haven't really gotten to what their connection is. Shulk is getting something out of this. Hikore kind of goes where their new master tells him to go, so it makes sense on those fronts. Because like Shulk and Hikore are both they're both in that mercenary camp. More so Shulk, he wants his specific reward. He wants to know where the Demon King died. So there's that element to it. But going back to Dakai and Yuno real quickly, he's like, oh, you want to get your revenge? Go ahead and attack me. Like, you've got like the arrow thing underneath your arm. Go ahead and do it. Like, I'm giving you an opportunity. Let's see if you're faster than my fingertips are. And as we've seen, Dakai is ridiculously fast. And so it's all said and done, Yuno can't do anything. And it's lashing out against someone because she has a lot of self-hatred. It's like, you're the only one there. All the people you care about are gone, so you're the only survivor. It's survivor's guilt that rather than kind of festering all that hate towards yourself, which it's still there, but you have other outlets. You get to point it at Sojiro and Dakai, because it's like, oh, here you are doing whatever you want to. You're so strong and powerful, never once considering the ramifications of those you trample on, which I'm like, well, who did Sojiro trample on? Sojiro showed up after shit had already popped off. So it's not like he could have done anything. And you could make the argument Dakai popped everything off by stealing the Code Star, but it's also like, yeah, but someone would have solved it eventually and would have popped it. So it's just, there's so many things where you see all sides to it, and it's easy to be like, I mean, Yuno is the one that you can understand the most, where it's like, you had your entire world literally and bloodily like destroyed, so it's understandable to be sympathetic. But it's very, very cold-hearted. But I could also see Dakai's point of, it would have happened eventually. No one would have, like, the result would have been the same. It just would have happened eventually. But the only reason why you're mad is because it's the people you care about. But like I said, if it was someone from your town or your city, like if they had solved it and popped all this off, would you care? The only reason is because Dakai's alive. But once again, it's like, she hates the strong because she feels like they're able to get away with whatever they want to. It also goes back to a thing I brought up like maybe last episode. I was like, is she not as pissed with Sojiro anymore? It's like, oh no, that resentment is still there. She's still waiting for him to get his comeuppance in her way. But it's like, it's going to be interesting to see where Yuno's story continues to go after this. It's just like, I mean, she's found the person who's kind of the ire of her. But I mean, it's like, she hates all strong people. So she definitely seems like she's that type of character where you could see like her becoming a despicable person. Like, in her attempt to get revenge, she's going to choose like the worst timing. And maybe she will get a revenge, but what will it have cost her along the way? Like, she's losing a little bit, chipping away at who she was before. The argument maybe could be like, I mean, it goes into anyone's capable of anything with the right, well, I say the right circumstances, but the wrong circumstances happening. Nature and nurture coming together can influence, and just like your experiences can all turn you from, So who knows, like, if this is something that was always inside of Yuno, or is it just she's going to become this monster because of said events? Once again, Sojiro didn't do anything. He showed up and defeated, but he's all about the fighting. Like, he's not there, mournful about the people. He doesn't give a shit. Dekai's exactly the same way. Maybe it's a visitor thing where it's like, this isn't a world I really give a shit about. I'm here, but I want to fight, and that's all I care about. So, but either way, Shulk returned after his fight with Sojiro and acknowledges, yeah, that dude's strong. He's like, why would I go all the way out, like put my life on the line, considering I never got my reward? But if you want me to, I will put my life on the line. But Terran's like, no, that's kind of unnecessary, because he figured Shulk had been like, yeah, he's most likely a visitor from this world like you, Dekai. And it's like, oh, interesting. So, but Terran is waiting for the opportunity, because she knows, like, well, Sojiro's not dead. He got away, not unless someone captured him, but I highly doubt that. We don't know what state he was in the aftermath of the fight, but it was enough of a situation that even Shulk was like, "Nah, I'm like, that guy's pretty tough, So I held him off, but I immediately came back. So he's most likely on his way. So no one would blame you from running Terran. But Terran's like, no, I'm not going to. Someone who's supposed to rule by fear can't ever like give in to fear itself. It's interesting, too, because she's saying that she's ruling through fear because that's what the previous Demon King, the true Demon King, had stolen everything from so many people and left them with nothing but fear. And to kind of keep things, it's like, she wishes that she could rule this world. We could rule this world with, like resolute, virtue, being virtuous in our rule, but that's not how this is. We've got to kind of keep the status quo of it was ran by fear. The only way we're going to be able to continue keeping everything in line is to continue that ruling by fear, ruling with an iron fist. And it's like, I don't want to necessarily go to war, but I will go to war just to come out on top. And I will, basically, if there's any person in this world that tries to oppose me, then there will be war. I will fight and fight until no one stands to ever oppose me again. Kind of cement your reign. So, once again, we've never seen like this, like, in these conversations, because that's why I was like, narratively speaking, it kind of felt like they were kind of pointing Terran to be the good guy in this situation, but it's like, once again, there are no good guys. It's just a warring situation. It's just, what horse are you backing in this race? That's all it comes down to. Because even Yuno doesn't really, and that's also got a sting too. Once again, it's like, Sojiro doesn't see much value in you. Dekai didn't really see much value in you. She thought Hagure chose her because it's like, oh, you killed literally everyone except for me because I was the weakest one. And it's like, well, he only needed her for a horse. Like, she wasn't even valuable informant. Like, Dekai was busy getting info out of Lana, so he doesn't need she serves no purpose. It's like, right, once this is all said and taken care of, once everything calms down, I'll let you go and you can gotta be on your merry way. Go start a new family, go start a new life somewhere. You're still alive, so take this opportunity instead of just being filled with revenge. But that feeling of weakness and helplessness is fueling that fire of revenge just that much more. So like I said, it's going to be interesting to see where Yuno's story goes. But all of these scenes we were seeing happen before the bombardment, as they put it, of Mage City last episode. So we're picking up there. Hargant is trying to rally up the townsfolk the citizens who want to fight back. And it's like, well, we're not going to be getting any backup soon because Reneji has got the wyverns spreading the fire more, like adding more fuel to it, spreading oil around so the fire continues to spread, and they're also trying to draw any humans, and that's pretty brutal. You're also throwing stones to like bash people too, but I guess it's like maybe it makes them easier targets, so you don't have to waste energy chasing after them because they're going to attack afterwards. Because it happened with Hagure, like he protected someone, got like one of those stones to the knee or leg, and one of the wyverns tried to attack him. And they came back again, but Alice shows up and ripped through him. He has one of those, I forgot what those swords are called. They're retractable swords. I think that's the word I'm looking for. I think, what was it called? Kyo's hand, I think is what he called it. It's like, man, dude is armed to the teeth with like magical weapons. He was like slicing and dicing them. And I mean, he once again, as Hargit put it last episode, Alice has beef with Lithia because they stole the Cold Star because he doesn't appreciate anyone stealing his treasure. And while like he's being chased by the wyverns, they were like, "Oh, you ran from the swarm," and like it got Alice's attention. And he's like, "Oh, there you go, Reneji. There you go, speaking about some really irrelevant matters." So it's like it's their past. So like I guess I think they kind of hinted that Reneji and Alice had a history. And maybe that has something to do with like ran away from the swarm. That must have been before the Demon King wiped out their kin, or at least his kin. Or maybe it's like back when Alice became the outsider amongst the wyverns and kind of went in his own way. It kind of feels like that might have been more in correlation with the Demon King. So it's like that's going to be interesting when those two eventually cross paths. Alice and Rigneji, like when they fully cross paths. We also had Nihilo show up a little bit, like just a few seconds on screen, because she's there making her way to Lithia. So a lot of people are converging there. Once again, Alice wants the Cold Star, so I'm sure he's going to head that direction too. Hargit is telling everyone to kind of buckle down and defend the city. And he's like, if anyone wants revenge, they should go. And, well, he's going to command things from here to the best he can. But anyone that wants revenge should storm on their way to Lithia. So everything's converging in Lithia. We haven't seen the Eurasia side of things. Like, obviously, this is all on Mage City right now. So we haven't seen what things are like back at Eurasia. What's happening on that front. We catch up with Elia and Kia as they're trying to rescue Lana. It's like, well, quote-unquote rescue, because Kia has no idea Elia just wants to kill her. And so Kia ends up putting some guards to sleep, and I was like, oh, like, even though she said sleep, did it not translate well, and it just ended up killing them? Oh, no, it's Elia. She's killing these people while they're asleep. Like, Kia thinks she's just, like, knocking them out, but it's like, no, because she can't let anyone be aware of what Kia can do. Can't let anyone know. Once again, which I think is so interesting, well, in a grand scheme of things, it makes sense because the last thing you want is Terran or anyone from Lithia finding out about Kia. But also, it's like, Lana was on your side, so why wasn't... She wanted her dead regardless. It's like, you're going to present her to Horatia, but she wants... I guess she's scared, like, if they find out, someone else will take Kia from her and reap the rewards from it, even though it's like, no, I'm trying to reap the rewards from being the one who discovered the world word. But I guess it's that. See, by presenting it herself or doing her own thing, like, because I think she plans on entering Kia into the championship without letting anyone know she's the world word. And then by the time she rips through all the competition, it's like no one can take her. It's like, oh, she's my champion, so I reap all the benefits. Because I think at any point in time before that, if she lets anyone from Horatia know, it's going to blow up in her face. And once again, they'll snatch Kia, maybe kill her, snatch Kia, and garnish all the reputation and rewards from it. They found Lana, which is kind of sad to see her beat up. I mean, it's like, well, like, what did I think? I don't know. I kind of wasn't expecting her to be tortured, but she is an enemy component that they need information from. Like, they found out, like, yeah, you are an insider, so of course we're going to beat some information out of you, sadly, and torture you. And I was like, wow, sadly, she's in the perfect position for Elia to be like, oh my god, sadly, she ended up succumbing to her wounds. But before she even touched Elia's hand, it was like, wait, how'd you find me? Even the most skilled people from Horatia wouldn't have been able to find me or know where I was. And why'd you bring Kia here? And how'd you even get in here? And it's like, oh my god, looking at her, it's like, you found it. It does exist, the world word. And it's like, well, before she could even really process all that, because now it's like, wait, why didn't you tell me? We had this whole conversation like the episode beforehand, and you didn't say jack shit to me, so why are you not saying anything now? Why didn't you say anything? And now it's like, okay, so obviously you're hiding some stuff. I don't get it. But it's like, before she even says anything, it's like, hey, Lana, calm down. You don't want to like succumb to your wounds. But then lo and behold, who shows up? Hagure. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to... I wonder, was he just passing by? Like, what made him decide to go down there? Because even Lana's like, did Terran tell you to kill me? It's like, why was he down there in the first place? Like, why would he, like, not unless he was out and about and he found, like, the passed out guards. Well, not passed out. They're dead now because of Elia, but I guess he followed them all the way back to, they left quite their trail of breadcrumbs, but maybe he just happened to be in the area too. Maybe he was there to kill Lana because she served no purpose. But yeah, Hagure tried to attack Kia, but she's like, avert, which it stopped all his attacks, but he could still go. So she's like, protect us from anything that could hurt us. It's like, man, that power is super OP. I mean, I guess if you're faster than her word, like, that's the thing. The only benefit you'll have is, like, if you can be faster than she can use her word arts, then... But it doesn't seem like she has to do much. I mean, even, like, the simplest words. Like, she doesn't have to do a whole, like, word art incantation. She just has to say, like, yo, protect us from anything that could hurt us. I mean, how long does that last? Is that permanent? Like, will that be a permanent thing? Or is it kind of like a word of God thing where it has to be heard? Because that ends up being a thing of, if you, once again, haven't seen Preacher, I don't know if it has the same weakness in the comic, but it has this in the show. If someone is deaf and they can't hear the word of God, it doesn't affect them. So I'm wondering, like, can you ignore the boundaries of her power if you just can't hear it? So that's why I'm saying, like, in that moment, because Hagure, like, the world bends to her will in that moment, but it's in correlation to Hagure, so... Maybe in that moment she like does that, when does that protection disappear? Like after a certain amount of time? Is it only because Hagure's around to hear all that, so he kind of has to like adhere to the veils of that world where it's just like reality bends itself around her and won't hurt her because she said protect us from anything that could hurt us. So, and Hagure is like, oh, like, you've taught me something, like I just continue to learn more crazy things about the world. And so he can't use his weapons and he's forced to drop them, but he uses the leaves off of him because it's like, well, he is a plant at the end of the day. Plants do produce, like, trees produce oxygen, so why wouldn't he? And they didn't even cross my mind. Like, of course you'd be able to kind of produce your poison into the air. It makes perfect sense. And it starts killing everyone except for Kia because that protection ward is basically still in place of like, yeah, I said protect us from anything. So, and then Hagure dies and it's like, wait, why did he die? I was like, was that a ramification from pushing his body like that? What's going on? I love the reveal where it's like, no, it turns out it's Kuze. For whatever reason, he was here, and because he was here, Mystique automatically attacks anyone. We also see the weapon she used. You think it was just, hey, like she has to... Well, when we do see her attack like a couple episodes back, any person she struck did kind of have this slash mark on the face. I just interpreted it as like she took her finger and like touched her face or something. It's like, no, she specifically has like... I guess you could almost look at her being an angel. It's almost like... oh, God, what's... Azazel. Isn't that it? Azazel's the angel of death. Like, I was about to say she, I mean, it depends on the continuity, but, like, that angel has a sword that can instantly kill anyone. I know because of the show Lucifer, because the character was played by Charlene Yee, but, like, yeah, she was the angel of death, and she had a very specific blade that can kill any celestial type of thing. So, I'm assuming that knife she has kind of works like that. Poor Hagure, it's like, yeah, you got... I thought that was so interesting because it's like, yeah, before this battle could even really get underway, like this unstoppable force that is Hagure versus another unstoppable force that is Kia clashes with another unstoppable force that is an angel that Mystique only activated because Kuze happened to be in the area. And that's why he's like, what was it? He like Kuze the... I forgot what this subtitle his name is. It's like, it was like the walking, not walking plague, but walking death. Because he had a different name when he was first introduced, but someone else referred to him by his other name. So, but this is like his real name because anyone that comes after him suffers the wrath of his angel, Mystique. But you also have Elia being in this tough spot where she wants to leave Lana alone. It's like, yeah, because... Yeah, Lana managed to get away, which I'm curious what she's going to do in the aftermath of all this. Because she does know, so if she manages somehow to get back to Eurasia, that could be a problem. Or she could sell out this information to Terran to kind of, in a self-preservation act. I don't know. Not unless Lana ends up running into Yuno because, well, Yuno's still locked up, so they could end up joining forces type of situation. I hope you get out, you help me. We'll see where things kind of go on that front, but... Elia wants to not go after Lana, because it's like, well, we're going to expose Kia even more. But the problem is Kia spent time with Lana. It's like, hey, you're my friend and I want to help her. So it's like, yeah, she kind of has no choice, but because she can't be honest with Kia, she's trying to keep Kia in the dark as much as possible, take advantage of her naivety and innocence. So quite the pickle she finds herself in. So it's definitely going to be interesting. But it also showcases none of these characters we've been introduced to doesn't mean they're going to be around for a while, because Hagure is dead, meaning anyone we've kind of gotten to know over the course of the first half of the season is like, yeah, anybody can get it at any point in time. Which kind of surprised me, because I guess, like, I mean, that's the stakes of it. It's like, oh, let's introduce you to these characters who could all die. Once again, I don't know what the pacing of the story is, like in the light novel. Is it one-to-one? Is it designed like this, where you get introduced to all these characters up front and then things start unveiling, like playing out this way? Or is that some, you know, because sometimes, not always, but sometimes the animes will take different approaches to the mangas. You know, like a Full Metal Alchemist. There are a few others that have kind of deviated quite heavily from their manga, the original manga and stuff like that. But I'm curious to know, at least in comparison, like, would this be closer to like the manga, or would it be closer to the light novel, or is it or are both of those the same and the anime is different? I'm curious about stuff like that, because I'm like, because you think some of these characters will be around a while before they die, but it's like, this is only 12 episodes and I don't know. I mean, the light novel, to my knowledge, from what I remember looking up, is still ongoing. Even the manga adaptation is still ongoing, but I don't know if, like, there's going to be more of the show, or if it's going to be a one and done, because it's only 12 episodes. So how this all shakes up and plays out, like, some of these characters, probably every character we've come to really know over the course of this season so far, at least like some of the more key fighter characters, will probably all die. So Higure probably will not be the first death, and he's the first death that we've kind of known, but he won't be the last one. So it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of this season plays out, and what the future holds for a lot of these characters, and where all of this takes us, you know? But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.